Ever wondered how people kept food fresh before refrigerators were invented? Imagine living in medieval times. No fridges, no freezers, and definitely no takeout apps. If you wanted to save food for later, you had to get creative. And let me tell you, medieval folks were masters of creativity. Some of their methods were genius, others were downright bizarre, and a few were just plain hilarious. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of medieval food preservation. From salty meats to smoky cheeses, let's explore how people kept their food from spoiling in a time when electricity was still centuries away. Salt, the OG preservative salt, was the superstar of medieval food preservation. It was so valuable that Roman soldiers were paid in it. That's where the word salary comes from. In medieval times, salt was like gold. Traders in Venice built entire fortunes by controlling the salt trade. Here's how it worked. They'd rub meat or fish with so much salt that it looked like it had been caught in a snowstorm. The salt sucked out all the moisture, turning the meat into something like beef jerky. Fish was packed in barrels with layers of salt, kind of like a weird, salty lasagna. But salt wasn't cheap. A pound of salt could cost a week's wages for a regular worker. There's even a story about a French village that traded an entire flock of sheep just to get enough salt for the winter. Smoking. Medieval. BBQ. When salt was too expensive, medieval folks turned to smoking. They'd hang meat or fish in their kitchens, where the smoke from cooking fires would slowly preserve it. The best woods for smoking were oak, apple, and cherry. Each gave the food a unique flavor. Smoking wasn't just for meat. They smoked cheese, grains, and even eggs. Imagine telling your chickens, "Sorry, your eggs are going to smell like a campfire." Archaeologists found a 600-year-old smokehouse in London. And guess what? The ceiling beams still smelled like smoke. That's some serious dedication to food preservation. Ice houses. Nature's freezer. Wealthy medieval families had ice houses, special underground bunkers where they stored ice and snow. The biggest one at Hampton Court Palace could hold 75 tons of ice. That's enough to make slushies for an entire army. For those who couldn't afford ice houses, caves and cellars worked just fine. These cool, dark spaces kept food fresh without electricity. Some monasteries even built artificial caves just to store wine and beer. Because priorities, right? Drying. The original snack. Hack drying was another popular method. They'd hang fruits, vegetables, and meat in the sun or near a fire to remove all the moisture. Grapes became raisins, plums turned into prunes, and meat became jerky. Some places had special drying towers where they could dry thousands of pounds of food at once. Archaeologists even found 500-year-old dried fruit bits stuck in the corners of these towers. Talk about ancient snacks. Fermentation. Pickle everything. Medieval people loved pickling. They'd soak vegetables, fruits, and even fish in vinegar or brine to keep them from spoiling. Cabbage became sauerkraut. Cucumbers turned into pickles, and fish. Well, let's just say it got interesting. Fermentation wasn't just about taste, it was a survival tactic. A barrel of sauerkraut could feed a family through winter and provide enough vitamin C to avoid scurvy. Some monasteries pickled over 15,000 eggs in a single year. Can you imagine being the monk in charge of that? Honey, the sweet preserver. Honey was another medieval miracle. It never goes bad. Scientists found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still edible. Medieval folks used honey to preserve fruits, meats, and even whole birds. Beekeepers were like rock stars back then. They had special legal protections and were paid more than cooks. Some castles even had honey rooms where the walls got so sticky, bugs would get trapped like medieval flypaper. Boozy preservation. Finally, there was alcohol. Medieval people discovered that wine and beer weren't just for drinking. They were great for preserving food, too. Fruits, veggies, and even eggs were soaked in alcohol to keep them fresh. One French castle went through 100,000 liters of wine a year, half of which was used for preservation. They even preserved meat in alcohol, though that was probably more about desperation than taste. What's for dinner? Chicken floating in a barrel of beer. And there you have it. Medieval food preservation in all its smoky, salty, and boozy glory. Next time you open your fridge, take a moment to thank your medieval ancestors for figuring out all these tricks. Just maybe skip the wine-soaked eggs.